magic-using or human. Despite that, we'd worked that first job together well enough that her mentor, Ren Valier, had decided working for me on a regular basis would be part of her training. Valier hadn't asked me first, of course. "Drink your coffee, boss. Your horns are showing." I don't know who'd taught her that was the fatae equivalent of calling someone a ditzy blonde, but I had my suspicions. If my office evoked a vague echo of the seedy but competent detectives of the 1940s, and I'm not saying it did, intentionally or otherwise, then Ellen could have swung the faithful Girl Friday. She wasn't particularly dishy, although she was young, and her style was more jeans and a sweatshirt than tight skirt and heels, but she had the sass down damn near perfect. When it was just us, anyway. Other people came into the picture, and the uncertain, beat-down, too-damn-much shadow I'd first met made an unwelcome reappearance. But we were working on that, too. "So," I prompted Ellen, leaning my hip against her desk. "New client?" "In your office." Ellen handed me one of the files from her desk while I, obedient, took another sip of coffee. "Mrs. Christina Eloise McConnell, a Ms. O'Sullivan sent her." I remembered O'Sullivan. Her secretary had been hanging out with some rather nasty people who took things that didn't belong to them. She had been professionally grateful for my help, apparently enough to send her friends along too. I'm fond of former clients like that. "What's the deal?" I asked, even as I flipped open the folder and scanned the top sheet. Ellen had better than decent handwriting, but she typed everything out so I could scan it into the files later. Having an assistant who was talent, and therefore is likely to short out the entire office as get a file saved, meant I did more work, not less. Fortunately, she had other skills and abilities that made up for it, when they weren't getting us into more trouble anyway. But this seemed like a standard issue referral, not what I'd come to think of as a shadow special, where her foresight got us involved. "Missing husband," Ellen said, and then let me read the rest. "Missing a full 24 hours from..." "He disappeared from the roof?" I looked up from the report, surprised. "Uh-huh." "Well, that's different. And I take it her distress translated into our coffee maker going spooful?" Even when she smiled, Ellen looked serious. Actually, she was detailing what he was supposed to be doing up on the roof instead of disappearing, and it went spooful. I don't think she's too happy with him. "I can't imagine why," I said dryly, walking past the desk and opening the door to my inner office. Mrs. McConnell was proof that you couldn't put a stereotype on talent. She was in her late 50s, well-preserved in the way suburban ladies of a certain income level get, dressed in a tasteful suit and carrying a bag that you could have hit a mid-sized Chevy in. She was from Westchester County, where the wealthy don't quite flee New York City, though, so it was more likely a Prius, or a Volvo. She didn't turn in her chair to look at me as I came in, but waited until I had shaken her hand and introduced myself. Her gaze could cut glass, but her body language said she was more than a little embarrassed. "I believe I owe you a coffee maker," she said. I waved it off, pulling my chair out and sitting down behind my desk. "It happens. I take it you're calmer now?" Either way, I wasn't going to take my laptop out of the shielded drawer until she left the office. "Yes, I am sorry," she said and looked it. I guess it was bad manners for a nice suburban lady to bust up a guy's coffee maker without having even met him yet. Apologies offered and accepted, I was all business. "So, what can I do for you?" Sylvan Investigations was, on paper, your basic private investigation firm. That meant that I took pretty much all comers, so long as they didn't smell too badly of trouble, and tried to find whatever it was they were missing or track down what they feared was wrong. Nobody ever showed up in my office because they were having a good day. But every PI has a specialization, even if they didn't advertise it. Mine was magic. Not the using of it, I'm no talent, but the problems that came from it, the use and abuse. And for a talent to be sitting in my office first thing in the damned morning, that was trouble with a capital T, and that spelled talent. "My husband has gone missing," she told me. "Off the roof of your house, yes." I placed the file down on the surface of my desk, which, unlike Ellen's, was clear of everything. My citations and clippings were framed